The only reason that I was not harder on him after the previous set of accusations was because the most damning ones were from an extremely uncredible source, an uncorroborated Republican operative. Given that, I'm not going to take them that seriously. This is a heavily corroborated non-Republican operative. I think that I'm being extremely consistent in being blasé about the previous accusations, but extremely, hard on these ones. I defended Platner against previous accusations with my own caveats because I believed them. I believed him. I believed his take. I don't believe his take on this one, so that's it for me. I'm out. You can say I should have been out earlier. It's fine. I accept your judgment, you know? I'm not a perfect arbiter of political viability, but this is my out. And I think if you don't have an out right here, to me, it's gonna weigh more than a feather. Graham Platner postpones multiple events this week. Okay. So what's the rumors? Some people are saying there's going to be another Oppo dropping him. What? Postponed a string of events Sunday and Monday as rumors circulate among Maine Democrats and over social media about another potentially damaging story to come about the oyster farmer's past. Platner postponed a plan. By the way, I just want it to be known, it's all the Democrats' fault. You know why? Because they had a promising Senate candidate lined up who got sidelined because Schumer picked Mills, even though nobody wanted Mills, and Mills was obviously going to lose. Schumer, the reason Schumer lost to Platner so quickly was because Mills was obviously a bad candidate, but Schumer pushed ahead to the expense of potentially an actually good candidate. Platner was the one with the energy and the momentum. If the Democrats' only solution to Platner was Mills, a person who was guaranteed to lose against Collins, that's their fault. My sources in DNC story about Platner's unit in Afghanistan being mixed up with underage girls. Oh, God. Well, that would be typical of the region and time period, I suppose. We'll see how that one goes. Supposedly he sexually assaulted children in the war. Okay, let's wait for the info to come out. But that if that ends up being the case, that exceeds the dark woke threshold. I'm afraid that might be a little bit too. That might exceed the utilitarian calculus of getting a problematic candidate beating out a Republican. That's a little bad. I think. Yeah. How do we know if it's fake? We got to wait for the evidence. Right now, all I have to work off is a single chat from VGG. You know. Yeah. Thana, we have to see. However, we do know that he did mercenary work in Afghanistan, and we do know a lot of the mercenaries in Afghanistan were pedophiles who worked with the ANA to rape children in the villages that they would, occupy. So, I mean, I'm just saying that it does fit with a broader, that would be a little bit run ending. If there was validity to this, the Democrats would have already used it against Platner. I don't think that's necessarily true. Sometimes it does actually take a while for stuff to come out. But at the same time, listen, I want to see the arguments they make, but at the same time, it's not impossible. I think we got to be willing just to say fake news. Listen, if it makes you feel any better, whether or not the Democrats take the Senate, the climate collapse is killing 5 billion people anyway. But nah, I'm sorry. That one might be a bridge too far for me a little bit. Not saying you have to go out and vote for Collins, but Wait, these are credible? No, we don't know yet. Chat's just speculating. We don't know anything. The Platner campaign did not immediately respond to requests for comment in these events. The postponements came as multiple Democrats told the Bangor Daily News they expect the national outlet to drop a story about Platner Monday or Tuesday. Rumors about potentially damaging stories in the progressive candidate increasingly swirled Sunday night and Monday. Isn't it too late to replace him? Yes. Sam and Andrew's sources coming back with the same thing. All right, well, we'll wait for the drop. Libs are going to be insufferable about this. I mean, I'm sure they're delighted to see our guy, Platner, drop out or whatever, but the Dems have absolutely objectively mishandled this on every level. The Senate Democrats never reached out to Platner. Mills hasn't reached out to Platner. They didn't do anything about Platner. And also, Schumer shelved the potentially good candidate in Maine against Collins in favor of Mills because Mills was like a deep state Democrat ally. The Democrats mishandled this, and Platner objectively ran away with the momentum. Mills would have lost to Collins, without a doubt. So the Democrats' best pitch was just losing to Collins. For now, I'm calling fake news. We don't even have news yet. What's new in this article? Rumors. But I don't think we have anything more than that right now. It's all just lies. Why are we even giving it the time of day? Don't piss me off, okay? Genuinely, and I'm just going to say this the once, don't do the blue MAGA thing on me. We're better than they are. All right? Look, all right? I understand that, broadly speaking, basically no matter what happens, we're always better than the Republicans. There's essentially nothing they could do to change that. But, don't do the blue MAGA shit. you're gonna piss me the fuck off. Like if the accusation is extreme sexual impropriety while being a fucking mercenary in Afghanistan, I'm not gonna just go, oh, that's fake. Literally, just shut the fuck up and wait for the information, then judge it, you know? The reason the information from the previous drop wasn't credible is because it was uncorroborated, and the most damning accusations came from a literal Republican operative whose stories weren't corroborated by the New York Times. That's the reason why it was dismissed. We weren't dismissing it just because we like the guy. You don't want to dismiss rape accusations against somebody just because you like the guy who's being accused. We seriously have to have this conversation? His PMC work was not in Afghanistan. You're right. The PMC work was in Iraq, I think, right? Who was it that Schumer should have endorsed? Can somebody pull up that article for me? We looked at it just a couple days ago. The one where there was a promising Senate candidate in Maine who had gotten their campaign ready, had some like contacts pre-negotiated, had already cleared it with the DSCC, but then at the last minute, Schumer said, no, do not launch because they wanted to go with Mills. Here it is. Yeah, this one. The candidate, Kleben. Dan Kleben. Yeah. He'd already hired campaign staff, but then the Schumer canceled his bid because they wanted to go with Mills. Should have just ran anyways. Yeah, well, unfortunately, the main line in Democratic politics is to wait your turn. So he didn't. He should have, but he didn't. The fact that he was willing to listen to Schumer and not launch his campaign after getting campaign staff hired is probably an indication this guy would have lost to Collins anyway. Collins is an unusually durable Senate candidate. You need somebody with some real cojones to go up against her, and somebody who's willing to shelve their campaign because Schumer told you not to. It's pathetic. It means you don't have the leadership skills necessary to be in the Senate. However, could have been a different timeline if he'd run. If Schumer hadn't forced Mills in. Something else just dropped? Jesus Christ. Just dropped? Oh, wow, it really did just drop. It dropped 5 minutes ago. Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. Okay, is this it? Is it this in addition to the PMC in Iraq? This is not it? Okay, we're just playing the field here. All right, gotcha. Yeah, if it's an addition, man, Jesus Christ. This feels coordinated? Of course it is. It's politics. Doesn't mean it's not real. Like, the accusations against Weinstein were coordinated in the sense that, like, people had talked beforehand and, you know, come out as a group. Something being coordinated or somewhat cynical doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. Let's see. Woman who dated Maine U.S. Senate candidate Graham Platner said he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago despite her repeated objections. That's not good. The woman, a 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny Rassicot. Not good that we have a name. That definitely increases the legitimacy of the claim. Detailed the alleged incident to Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Oh boy. Politico also spoke with the man Rassicot dated and confided in the years after the alleged incident and reviewed documents, including emails between Rassicot and her therapist. Oh boy. And messages between Rassicot and an acquaintance, so it's corroborated then, whom she warned against getting involved with Platner years before he ran for office. Rassicot said she had an on and off relationship with Platner, who is now the Democratic Senate nominee in Maine, for more than 2 years before he entered her rural Maine home uninvited one night in late 2021, deeply intoxicated, and forced himself on her while she repeatedly told him to stop. Jesus Christ. It's like textbook. She said she cut contact with him after telling him the encounter was not consensual. Grabbed my pelvis, being really forceful of me. She said, I remember the specific moment when I thought to myself, like, this is no longer my choice. Platner denied the allegations. These allegations are troubling, serious, and false. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically untrue. That's pretty bad. Who do we believe? The story's been corroborated. If there are messages from 5 years ago that Politico has access to with her and her partner and her and her therapist, like, it's not made up. Rassicot said she was torn over coming forward, in part because she agrees with Platner politically. One of the reasons I didn't come forward sooner was the huge moral conflict that I had between supporting his politics and not supporting him as a person. I just want the truth out there. I just want people to have a whole scope of who he is as a person. Therapists aren't objective. Can you, guys, I understand the drive to treat this like team sports, but can we not, like, do the Me Too shit all over again? Can we not, like, treat rape victims' testimonies differently because we like the guy who's like, you? This is what I mean. Like, it's like the inconsistency. It's like, well, I'm a warrior for women. I'm the world's greatest feminist. And then, like, your friend gets a rape accusation against him and you're like, well, that dumb bitch is lying, obviously. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, stop. Don't make me waste my time with this. In a statement, Platner campaign reiterated his denial and accused critics of trying to drive him out of the race. These allegations are very serious, and Graham vigorously denies them. They are also coached and coordinated by out-of-state establishment operatives. Ooh, that comes across really defensive. For a year, opponents of this campaign have thrown everything they can at Graham, calling him a Nazi, war criminal, and a communist. None of it has been true, and this is no different. It's not a coincidence the story comes a week before the ballot deadline. Just the previous false allegation came a week before the primary. Graham began this campaign to fight for a Maine where everyone's treated with dignity and where Mainers put first, and no amount of desperate smears will stop this moment from seeing that vision through. Ooh, that's a very defensive response. Resicote told Politico she connected with Platner on Bumble in 2019. The feminist dating app, and had consensual relations with him prior to the night he allegedly assaulted her. That night in late 2021, she said she'd exchanged text messages with him and told him not to come over, saying she wasn't in the mood for company. Later that evening, she said she realized when she heard a sound on the stairs that he had let himself into her house, which was unlocked. Platner came up the stairs, Renscott said, where she was on a couch. He got on top of her and kept grabbing her, she said, while she repeatedly told him to stop and said she wasn't interested. Renscott said she smelled alcohol on his breath and believed he was, quote, almost blackout drunk because Platner ignored her protests and continued to grab her after knocking over an antique sewing kit, spilling small needles everywhere. I'd been telling him these words like, no, don't, she recalled. The look on his face, realizing what was happening, I just realized I'm in a situation where there's no consent here. Renscott said she tried to separate herself from Platner by telling him she couldn't be in that room anymore, after which he followed her to her bedroom, had sex with her against her will, ejaculated inside of her. Okay, so not sexual assault then, just like rape, you know. Look at Benjamin's. Credible source told me Graham's considered dropping out. It's over. I mean, justified. Like, if unless there's some like insane like unbelievable haymaker from Graham Platner here, like just some insane like ukulele video, it's just something that completely annihilates these accusations. Like here's a video of you on the night you've accused me on a vacation in Hawaii, some shit like that. Unless we get something like that, it's over. Yeah. Is the Senate out of the question now? If he drops, yes. She went to clean herself up, she said. When he returned, Platner had fallen asleep. She contemplated waking him up to kick him out, but worried he could hurt someone driving in the state he was in. The following morning, she said Platner tried to put his arm around her and she pushed him away. She said she asked him whether he remembered what had happened the previous night. According to Resicotte, Platner said he didn't remember. Resicotte said she told him to leave and never contact her again. Waited several weeks to ensure she got her period to see she wasn't pregnant, then sent Platner a private message on Instagram saying the encounter was not consensual and she did not want to hear from him ever again. Renscott had no further contact with him after that, she said. Renscott said she later deleted all her texts and social media correspondence. Oh, hold on. Politico said they reviewed messages, so let's see. As she tried to move on from the assault, not being able to recover the Instagram messages she sent him about the incident. In the weeks after the alleged assault, Renscott said she considered going to the police but struggled with shock and confusion. Typical. I mean, like, typical is in this, like, that happens often. I'm not saying that, like, in a begrudging sense or whatever. Why not call the police after he fell asleep? All right, we're going back to basics. Me Too 101. I remember when this was a big talking point, okay? To not spend 30 minutes going over all of this, this seems like and we'll see what corroboration was provided to Politico, but this seems like a highly credible account, we'll say. Highly credible. So we're gonna, let's finish the article. Even as time passed, she felt uncomfortable potentially telling a police officer about such a personal experience and feared retaliation from Platner. At first, she confided only in her therapist, who she continues to see. Resicotte showed Politico recent emails with her therapist in which Resicotte explained she was talking to the media about her relationship with Platner and the sexual assault/rape, using an abbreviation for sexual assault. In the message, Resicotte was not ready to go public and was seeking help corroborating her account and conversation she was having with reporters on conditions of anonymity. Her therapist responded Resicotte shouldn't have to speak publicly about a traumatic incident in order to be believed. The therapist, who Politico agreed not to name at her request, declined to comment when reached on Monday. Makes sense. Shared details about the alleged assault to a man she dated after Platner, who she began dating in 2022. The man, who was granted anonymity out of concern for his personal privacy, told Politico Resicotte had told him in bits and pieces about a bad experience with Platner before confiding the full details of what happened in 2023. His account of what Resicotte told him about the incident matched what Resicotte told Politico. Yeah, this is like a haymaker, folks. This is like Resicotte shared with Politico a series of private Facebook messages she exchanged with acquaintances in 2023, about a year and a half after the alleged assault and well before Platner launched his political career, in which she cautioned the acquaintance against getting involved with Platner. In the messages, Resicotte said she, quote, ended up in a bad situation with him, describing Platner as consensually careless and saying he doesn't listen to you when drunk. Reached by Politico, the acquaintance said she received the messages but declined to comment. Politico granted her anonymity at her request to protect her privacy in her Maine community. Person A, the anonymous friend, says, "What's his deal? Should I not fix up my friend, assuming he's single?" The lady, Rassicoat, says, "He can be funny and charming. He's a decently intelligent person. He's not all bad, but I ended up in a bad situation with him, and I will just very politely call him consensually careless at times. When drunk plus PTSD. I knew about the PTSD. He lies also, forced himself on people. So what's Maine's option now? Collins?" Politico also spoke with a friend Rescott had told about the alleged assault last summer. Oh my God, it's so corroborated. Shortly after Platner launched his campaign, the friend whom Politico granted anonymity due to fear of social and professional backlash recalled Rescott telling her about the incident, including that Platner had been, quote, very drunk and wouldn't take no for an answer. Rescott said that she was contacted by the NYT in the spring and shared off the record Platner had assaulted her. She told the Times she had some positive memories of her relationship with Platner, but thought he did not respect women and had cut off contact with him after an incident in 2021 when Platner had come over drunk. But the Times article stated Rescott, quote, declined to elaborate what had happened, only describing his behavior as reckless and unsettling. Platner just dropped a response. Well, let's finish reading this before we read the response. I don't understand why he would run if he did this. Well, Trump ran for president 3 times and he's like raped a bunch of kids. So, you know, it's maybe Platner saw the field and thought it was a little more accepting than it used to be. After the publication of the Times report, Rascott connected with Cheyenne Hunt, a progressive Democratic lawyer who founded the nonprofit Reckoning Action, which launched earlier this year to fight misogyny. Hunt, who had endorsed Platner last fall but renounced her support for him after the Times article, previously supported women coming forward with assault earlier this year, prompting dropouts. Multiple women have past relations with Platner. Hunt connected Politico to Rescott. Reckoning Action exists to confront misogyny in American life in all forms of manifestation, including in bad actors being elected to positions of power. Hunt said, "We became aware of allegations before ever being connected with Jenny and have been in contact with multiple women. Not fit to hold public office." This is a long article. He should have run as a Republican? Yeah, no kidding. After the Times report last month, Platner had said that allegations of physical misconduct were simply not true. And now let's take a look at his response. Oh no, it's a video response. Fuck! Oh no. What if he just doesn't drop out? Would the Republican just win? I mean, yeah, probably. Oh, I genuinely, like, I don't even want to play it. I don't even want to play it. Ooh. Well, rip the Band-Aid off.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false. Over the last 10 months, I have been deeply humbled by the faith Mainers have put in me. You have welcomed me into your homes, into your places of work, into your restaurants, into your houses of worship. You have shown that a different kind of politics, one that puts the interests of people over corporations, is not just possible, but is inevitable.
Yeah, this sounds like a dropout.
This movement we have built, the largest volunteer base in the history of Maine politics, the hundreds of thousands of grassroots donors, and the supporters across the ideological spectrum, we were united in a love of Maine, a belief that our politics must change, and a focus on defeating Susan Collins. So, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful that
there it is.
Political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins. Those were the goals when we launched this campaign, and they remain my goals today. On June 9th, 154,058 Mainers, the most in primary history, voted to reject a broken politics beholden to Washington and the donor class.
Is he not he's like, what, taking a break? You can't take a break, dog. It's the you're dropping out or you're not.
Hope for change, to take back our economy, to take back our power, and to take back our Senate seat. Throughout it all, you never turned your back on me, and I will not turn my back on you now. Every one of you deserves to see that vision come to fruition and see Susan Collins defeated. And we will use every tool at our disposal to do so. As Maine goes, so goes the nation. As always, thank you.
Well, I don't understand what this means. What is he saying? Is he saying he's gonna drop out? I don't understand what he's saying. It's like is he dropping out or no?
This movement we have built, the largest volunteer base in the history of Maine politics, the hundreds of thousands of grassroots donors, and the supporters across the ideological spectrum, we were united in a love of Maine, a belief that our politics must change, and a focus on defeating Susan Collins.
He's gonna drop out.
Over the last 10 months, I have been deeply humbled by the faith Mainers have put in.
He's gonna drop out. There's no way. He's 100% gonna drop out. It just, he doesn't want to, he has to like do the back end work with his campaign staff. He probably got like blindsided by this, and he's like wondering how to run down the whole campaign. What's the point of dropping out now? Even if True isn't a Republican, still objectively worse. Oh God. Listen, there is a bare minimum. You know the whole like Gavin Newsom versus JD Vance thing? We can't do the 99% Hitler bit. For one, it doesn't matter because these accusations do not seem incredible. Sorry, maybe uncredible. It's the wrong word. These accusations seem credible, and he's not going to win. Collins will beat him. This is too much. This is too much. He's been teetering for a while with the image of like the reformed chud, but this is too much. My source in campaign has told me he's trying to trade dropping out for the other story not dropping. Oh, fuck. It's got to be really bad if that's the case. Did he actually rape kids in Iraq or whatever? If that's actually what he's trying to do, that'd be fucking crazy. Maybe that's the reason why he's not dropping out here, so he still has that card as leverage so that the people holding on to the story. But he would have to drop out afterwards anyway. It doesn't matter. Like, Collins is going to win now. Are you disappointed because you've been super charitable towards him towards the start? Honestly, I feel like I called this to an extent within my bounds. I said that I don't think he's a Nazi, but I think getting that tattoo indicates an extremely low level of, not intelligence necessarily, but like, it's not that he's literally stupid. It's like his lack of judgment and self-control is pretty evident. On a structural level, the Democrats mishandled this in a variety of ways. Specifically, Schumer mishandled this in a variety of ways. But the only reason that I was not like harder on him after the previous set of accusations was because the most damning ones were from an extremely uncredible source, an uncorroborated Republican operative. Given that, I'm not going to take them that seriously. This is a heavily corroborated non-Republican operative. I think that I'm being extremely consistent in being blasé about the previous accusations, but extremely like hard on these ones. Yeah, that's it. If he might just not be dropping out here, so he has that card left to play so they don't drop the next story. It's definitely over. But people can change. I think that's his whole message. Well, you know, it turns out there might be limits to that. There's a difference between he can change. He had chuddy Reddit messages from 12 years ago, and like, he can change. 5 years ago, he barged into a woman's house and raped her, and then lied and said he didn't. I think there's a slight difference in the severity here, in my opinion. But, you know, would you say AOC's vibe check of him was warranted then? I still think AOC's handling of him was bad. I think that AOC could have responded better, but like that is assuming that she didn't have this prior info. If AOC knew about the story, the extent of it, a month ago, and I don't know how she could have, because it's not like Politico would have gone to her like early or something. I think she might have been overly cautious, but it's possible that ends up benefiting her. The dice might have rolled in favor. Like, her cautiousness might have just ended up being warranted. I don't know. I don't know what information she's working off of. Either way, that's out for me. I've got my hands in the air. Sorry, boys. Not to be contrarian, but is there a chance this is made up? Sure. Okay. So we'll do this then. So anything could be made up because we don't have perfect knowledge of all the world and its contents. However, when you're looking at rape accusations, there are, listen, what's it? You know, believe but double check. What's it? You know, listen and verify. There are certain standards of corroboration that you can hold accusations to determine their legitimacy. Most of the time, a rape accusation is just a he said, she said. That's trust but verify. Thank you. Most of the time, it's just a he said, she said. That's pretty tough to navigate, especially if you're a politician and people have reason to lie about you. But this is not a he said, she said. What we have here is corroboration from multiple actors before Platner launched a campaign. That means that in order for this to be made up, these people would have had to be part of an operation to discredit Platner in case of a future Senate run years in advance. Like, they would have needed to, this woman would have needed to begin these machinations of like telling friends and her therapist and like leaving all of these hints that he had done this to her well in advance of him actually running. This is obviously insane. Like, Why would she do that? That's insane. The standard of corroboration here is much, 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 much higher than what it would need to be for me to be like trusting of it. In essence, it's a kill shot. I'm not defending this. I'm not even like gonna pretend there's a chance this is fake. Is there a chance? Sure. I mean, there's a chance anything's fake, you know? Pickle Rick, universe is a hologram. You get me, but not this. This is past my bar for credibility. What's the difference between this and Tara Reade's accusations against Joe Biden? Tara Reade had a legitimate and well-substantiated accusation of Joe Biden, like, I believe, harassing her at one point. The difference is that Tara Reade had that story, which she was consistent with for years. She told the media, she told her friends. As Joe Biden was running for the presidency, Tara Reade changed her story to being one of sexual assault, and none of her friends corroborated it. Everyone else in Tara Reade's life said that's not the story she told us, and in the months after the accusation, she changed her story in public multiple times. So that's the reason why her accusation was uncredible. Also, I'm pretty sure Tara Reade literally moved to Russia and is actually a Russian agent, so you can take from that what you want. Literally, genuinely a Russian asset, like they got to her. So her accusation, her initial accusation, the one of harassment, is probably true. I believe that one. But the Russian asset changing her story, totally uncorroborated, in a way that was countered by all of her friends and associates, I don't believe that. I believe that Joe Biden, like, harassed. I don't remember the exact details of the harassment, but I believe he harassed her. I don't think that that he sexually assaulted her. Where does this put the Senate for the 2026? Republican? Just tired of only Dems having principles, boss? Yeah, I'm real sorry about that, and it does suck. If it helps, just remember that the world was going to end even if Democrats had 100 seats in the Senate. However, nah, this one's past my bar. Sorry, bucko. Honestly, I think they'll release the other story regardless. I mean, they should. Like, journalistically, they should release it. He's gonna have to drop out anyway. It doesn't change the outcome for the Senate seat. But, like, if, like, it seems to me like Platner's a pretty bad guy, so, you know. Why can't Dems just nominate someone else? The primary already happened. What happens if he drops out before the deadline? Guys, Collins is going to win. It's over. Collins is winning. It's done. You can leave that. You can just leave that to the side. We would need like a genuinely unprecedented dark horse candidate to run independent, to be, who could even do it at this point? You've got the names that are on the ballot or the names that are on the ballot. Who could possibly? It's not going to happen. Russian asset sounds a little shitlibby. Shitlibs do like to invoke the Russian agent line. Sometimes it's actually true. I mean, you can literally look it up. Didn't she literally get like an award from Russia today, Tara Reade, for like services against American imperialism or something? It's from Caleb Maupin. So you don't think people are socially permissive enough of this kind of rape for them to overlook it? Guys, Republican voters love rape and pedophilia. Republican voters were not the ones voting for Graham Platner. Democrats and independents are voting for Graham Platner. And Democrats and independents, by and large, are less pro-rape because if they were pro-rape, they would be Republicans. Like, there's actually a difference between the electorates here, you know? We represent a different set of political priorities, in my opinion. Not perfectly, you know, clearly. Yeah, what do you mean, this kind of rape? Are the allegations credible then? Oh, yeah. Chat's just desperate for the Senate. Guys, I don't know how to tell you this. Like, I keep telling you, you're not listening. It wouldn't have made that much of a difference anyway. You really think that a one-seat Democrat majority in the Senate is going to fucking pull the ship away from its course over the edge of the waterfall? Dial it in, okay? It sucks, it does. But what you could do right now, and I think it would be good if you did this, like both for your own soul and your own immortal soul, which will be weighed against a feather after you die, and also for the broader health of our political community, is to not die on the hill. Just accept it. Are liberals going to be insufferable? Yeah, tank it. Are people on Blue Sky going to tell you over and over and over again, we warned you? Yeah, tank it. That's tough. Sorry, bucko. The world was ending anyway. Don't let your own pride and unwillingness to acknowledge that Platner ended up being a shitheel keep you from being morally correct. I defended Platner against previous accusations with my own caveats because I believed them. I believed him. I believed his take. I don't believe his take on this one, so that's it for me. I'm out. You can say I should have been out earlier. It's fine. I accept your judgment, you know? I'm not a perfect arbiter of political viability. But this is my out. And I think if you don't have an out right here, to me, it's going to weigh more than a feather. Do you think Schumer will support him now that he's a horrible human? Yeah, maybe. Schumer's like, or maybe Maybe he's a Zionist in spirit. Maybe. I'm nearly out from electoralism. This shit's such a black pill. I warned you about that, in fairness. People are already saying the Nazi tattoo was the sign, so they'll be insufferable. Well, the Nazi tattoo was the sign of extremely bad judgment. That is true. That's a fair criticism. I even acknowledged that one at the time. I said after the tattoo, I said, I don't think he's a Nazi, but this is like almost like a disqualifying level of bad judgment, right? Disqualifyingly bad judgment. Anyway, like, just tank the libs being smug, guys. We got bigger problems on our plate. If your biggest problem right now is you're worried about the blue sky libs being smug, I think you need to reassess your priorities, in my humble opinion. That's not the main thing you should be focusing on right now. Okay, but do I have to tank the pro-rape right shitting on this? No, you do not. You can, if a Republican says shit, you can happily remind them that bar to bar, Trump's done more raping than Platner ever could. Listen, Trump is still the rape goat, okay? Trump is the Messi of rape, all right? We're not going to... Listen, I appreciate Republicans trying to step in and from their perspective giving us cred for our guy, but let's be real here. When it comes to rape, Trump's still the GOAT. Why did it take so long for the interest groups to discover this? Well, did you watch me read the article? Because it's a story corroborated by one lady. So it was really just like a matter of time before she got her story out. Ryan Grimm refused to report on it. Well, Ryan Grimm probably wanted corroboration on the story, you know? I just wish she came forward sooner. Is what it is. Platner still has till July 13th to drop out and allow a replacement name on the ballot. I don't think anyone's going to have the momentum to beat Collins at this point.